David Moore, Dallas Morning News. Talked to us before about managing success and how difficult that can be. When you look back on this game, how much of it do you believe was not doing a good job of managing success early in the season, and how much of it was just the adversity you had from the number of injuries you had?
Yes, I think really, I mean, when you look at the whole picture, and you got to be, careful of over-evaluation too. I mean, I talk about it all the time. I'm a big believer in education and application and then evaluation. And, you got to be careful in the evaluation process. I mean, because yes, we talked about, the practices all week, but we had a number of things going on that were not normal. But, at the end of the day, I've been part of weeks where the practice wasn't quite what you wanted it to be, and then you played very well. And then you had great weeks of practice where it didn't, it hasn't gone so well on Sunday. So I think you just look at the whole thing, just keep breaking it down physically, mentally, and emotionally, staying true to how you believe you need to prepare for a game, and then more importantly, the in-game focus on, the ebb and flow of the game. I mean, that game didn't flow at all for the first half. So, I mean, that was the most, up and down, herky-jerky. I mean, just a lot going on. So I think once our guys got settled in, in the second half, I think things were better.
And just on your end and the coaching staff's end, as far as the timing of the injuries, how was that changing from basically Wednesday or Thursday on, as far as what
well,
you
we need to be
about?
better. I mean, that's not the way to go. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we had young players that I'm very proud of. We had two gentlemen that had their first career starts. So, but their preparation wasn't, to the level in hindsight that it frankly should have been. So, you learn from that. You play a higher end of caution with these injuries and timelines and those types of things. So, but yeah, we missed the mark there last week, clearly.
Current before we start to look at regarding the run defense, I know you had the adversity with the offensive line, but what were the problems there? Was there a lack of focus? I mean, you've talked all season about them wanting to run at you, and so you had to expect that they were going to try to run.
Well, you had the big play there early, and I think just like anything, they went with you could let Dan talk in specific, more of a Philadelphia type, game plan, and they hit us on a couple of things. So, but at the end of the day, it just comes down to, the gap integrity, and we just need to be better.
So was it an issue of not taking the offense lightly or anything like that?
Taking them lightly?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think we took them lightly. I mean, I like their perimeter players. I did. They had guys that could play. We felt that Dobbs would be a bigger challenge, this year than he was last year. I mean, we played against him in Tennessee. I mean, he wasn't even there a week. So no, I don't think we took him lightly. Can't take anybody lightly.
Yeah. Todd for the ESPN. The red zone last year was so good percentage-wise. Do you go back and look at those things that you did last year, or you said everything? You kind of take a look at everything. Where do you start?
Well, last year, I mean, we looked at last year during the spring. Yeah, so I mean, everything we did the last 2 years, frankly, we built this offense off of the foundation of the things our players currently knew, and conceptually on how we can move forward. So. Yeah, I don't no. To answer your question, we're not going to go back and look at last year. We've done that part, so and it's part of part of how we plan to attack this year. So, but yes, we will spend more time on red zone. This week. I mean, that's just the way I've always done it. So, when things aren't right, you just you work harder at it and you spend more time on it. But it's week 3. We know what our numbers are. We were last in the league and third down a couple weeks into it last year, so it turned out pretty good. So we're not going to overreact to it, because the most important thing is we're getting down there more than anybody. We lead the league in 10 plus drives, so we're moving the ball. That's the hard part. So when we have some strong feelings that we're not going to talk about in here, but on things we know we can improve on. So, but yes, we're aware of it.
Mike, Sajis at The Athletic. To build off of that question, you guys lose Dalton and Zeke. How much of it is adapting to the new personnel, and the strengths of what you have now versus what you guys had last year?
Oh, that's a good point. I think, just, giving them guys, the credit for what they've accomplished in their time here. They're both extremely productive players. Obviously Zeke throughout his whole career, I know Dalton got his opportunity in, 2020, with the injury to Blake. So, but yeah, that's a lot of productivity. But, you look at our backs. I think Tony's doing an outstanding job being the lead runner. I'm very proud of Rico. I mean, the broken tackles in that game are, I think we had 29 broken tackles in the game. So, and our running backs were a big part of that. So, so I feel good about the production we're getting, from our running back room. And, Jake Ferguson, he's doing a lot of nice things. And, and we're a little young there. We got to keep working. So they'll be better as we move forward. But I really like both those rooms.
Is it also something where those players need to kind of adapt to that style, or that's part of the field? Like maybe someone is really good in between the 20s, but has to learn how to be good beyond the 20 as well?
You're talking about the tight ends and running backs?
No, just all the players, receivers, tight ends, running backs, everything.
No, we don't run the run and shoot. So we understand how, nothing against run and shoot because we won't offend anybody here. But no, I think it, how we want to play. I mean, there's some things I think by down and distance we're taking a hard look at. So, but on how they played us was probably a little different, which you get this time of year. So we're taking into consideration all those things.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. You said you missed the mark on some things. Is that preparation for the young guys because you got veteran guys who are taking those reps? Is that what you mean?
Well, it's just as simple as this, and it's really my own challenge. Ultimately, I'm in charge of training the team and making sure everybody gets the reps, gets the information, the film, all the things that lead up to preparing for the game. Well, we had 3 guys starting that didn't take a lot of reps last week. So, I'm ultimately responsible for that. So we need to be better, and everybody involved in that needs to be better because that's. You can't operate like that.
How concerned are you about Tyron Smith's health? This is the second time he's been on injury report, 2 different ailments.
I mean, it's football. I mean, Tyron's played a lot of football. I mean, he's, so yeah. I mean, injuries are going to happen. I mean, there's not nothing you can do about it. I mean, and I think clearly the way you train in September is frankly a product of our training camp and. What it's off season. I mean, you have to train in September, differently than you did before 2011. I mean, I know that's how I feel, and I think the league is set up that way. So, but yeah, but as you move on and you do less and do more in other areas. So that's part of this process. And to me, it's part of the September football challenge.
Coach, the West Coast system is very methodical in how you move down the field. You just mentioned just how much you guys are getting to the red zone. The vertical threat is important to, hitting those big plays when those plays are there is important. Is that something that you gentlemen are still working on, trying to establish the vertical threat of this West Coast offense right now?
Well, the vertical, again, great question, and appreciate your insight is the vertical game. Frankly, you got to look at how they play too. So that when they had a cap on it, they're early. There wasn't a lot of 7 steps. I think we took 1 7-step drop, and that was by design. And that might have been maybe a slight overreaction from me. Based off of having the 3 new starters up front. So and that's part of the game. And it's part of calling a game. On where where's the stress points and making sure those guys get going. I mean, just you go back to the first series. I mean, it's first time we didn't move the ball in the first series of the game, and it's a great credit to our crowd. I mean, because to be honest, it created such a great environment. I think they made the Cardinal fans a little louder. I mean, we had to go to so we didn't think with so many Cowboy fans at the stadium, we didn't go silent count the first series. So, but we were in it the second series because I mean that was a loud atmosphere, and that's a credit to to all the great Cowboy fans there, but you know the Cardinal fans kind of they stepped up too. So I think it made for a great atmosphere to compete in. So it's always the little things usually when it comes down to those type of mistakes.
Michael Gelkin, Dallas Morning News. Tony saw 70 snaps, the second highest of his career. Rico at 11. The way Rico's going, and with the interest of preserving Tony over a full season, do you want to see that margin tighten a little bit, or are you comfortable with it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're very conscious of it. Especially the last 2 weeks. I mean, really, frankly, it'll affect Wednesday's practice for a number of guys. But I think also, it's part of the ebb and flow of the game. You get behind, and you start pushing a little bit, and then I think it's human nature. But yeah, very conscious of it. I mean, Deuce didn't get the work that I anticipated. So as far as the package that we had for him, so and part of that was just the way the game went.
The snap counts routinely for your offense have been higher these past couple games than for your defense. Is that a reflection of the kind of style of game that you're hoping to create?
Well, especially early. I mean, yeah, we don't want to, we're not trying to keep a lid on it. That's for sure. We do want to, play an aggressive brand of ball, in all three phases. So, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think as an offense, if you can, if you're pushing, 70 plays each and every week, you're definitely get the number of attempts at the plate to be as productive as you need to be to win the game.
Go ahead.
Down close late, you were, with the behind by 2 scores, you ran a lot.
Yep.
You talk about that. I know the clock management.
Yeah, there's a couple calls. Well, yeah, I think clockwise we were fine. But yeah, it was really more of a reaction how they were playing early. Probably more in a high red. So the first and second down runs. Whether the specifics of run pass or not, but I wish I'd have been more aggressive in the passing game there on first and second down.
Nick.
Nick Harris, DallasCowboys.com. You mentioned last week about getting Michael Gallup more involved going into the Arizona game. Is there more of an emphasis on Brandon Cooks now, only 39 yards in his first 2 games?
Well, I mean, it's a long year. I'm not ready to, we're not going to play the stat tennis match coming in here every week. I mean, because you can, at the end of the day, it's scoring more points than the other guy. We didn't do that. So that's really where my focus is. And also Brandon, some of the things that you look to do, the week's prep, in the way the final lineup ended up, those things factor too. So, but yeah, I mean, I think Brandon does a tremendous job, and we're playing him in some spots and doing some things that I think we can build off of moving forward. Some of the routes we've run with him.
Todd.
The injury status for Tyron, Zach, and Tyler, what do you expect from those guys on Wednesday?
We'll have to wait till Wednesday. I just had a lot going on today, so I don't have the injury information for you.
Was there ever a consideration of moving Tyler Smith to left tackle, or was that you just want to keep him in one spot for that first game that he's played?
Well, I mean, it's we talk about all different combinations. I think just like anything, I think once we get a hold of the timelines, of injured players, and is it short term, is it long term? So we're having those conversations.
In yesterday's game, was he an option to be a left tackle yesterday?
No, not the way the week went. Yeah. Yes.
So.
Mike, how do you view the fade route down in the red zone? Is that something that you feel is a viable option and something that you feel like you have the personnel to execute well down there?
Yeah, I definitely like the fade route. I think it's one of your primary routes down there. Yes.
And in terms of the receivers that you have, whether it's CD, Michael, I mean, what does it take to execute that well?
I think CD and Michael are excellent body types for that, and their skill set, and and the specific detail, the footwork is a tad different than it was before. So I mean, there's definitely some adjustment there, as far as the way we've done it in the past.
David.
Deron Bland moving outside and filling in for Dix in this game. What were your initial impressions of that?
Thought he graded out well, and he's super consistent, battled. I thought he was one of the brighter spots on defense.
Cal.
On the Gallup PI, did you ever talk to the league and say, get an explanation about why they picked up the flag at all?
No explanation. Picked the flag up, wind the clock, and still don't have an explanation.
I mean, did you reach out to them today at all, or send the tape and say what happened here?
No, not yet.
Todd?
You're facing Zeke this week, and you've talked to us before how he's always in the front row and all that stuff. What were your perceptions of Zeke when you took the job, and what did you come to learn differently about him, maybe?
Well, I think like anything, you know, obviously, you know, his reputation, you know, as a player, you know, obviously a lot of respect, you know, and I've told him this, and I don't mean this in a funny way or anything, but I just remember my first impression of Zeke in 2016, and he broke a run, you know, down our sideline that I was on at that time, and I just remember, as he ran by me for a long yard, I thought, my God, that guy got a big head. I mean, he was big, and that's a big man, you know. So, and that's I've always been so impressed with him. He was just such a big physical runner, you know. And I think when you watch guys on TV and you see him, I didn't realize he was that big, you know, and that thick, and so, you know, especially, you know, in the speed and his tenacity, the way he played. So, and then, you know, obviously having an opportunity to work with him, just, you know, very enjoyable. You know, I enjoyed our time together.
When you have to make the decision to move on, how difficult was that for you when you know what he means to that locker room?
I mean, he's always going to be loved here, and I think he'll, you know, his love, you know, the love that he had still today in the locker room is tremendous. I mean, he's probably, in my time, our time together was clearly, you know, probably one of the most popular players. I mean, he's a tremendous teammate, and he still is. I mean, his name usually comes up once a week. So, great guy.
All righty. Thank you, Mike.
Good. Thank you.